The history of Africa is a tapestry woven with countless narratives of kingdoms, empires, and civilizations. Among these, the Buganda Kingdom stands as a captivating tale of the rise, dominance, and eventual decline. Nestled in the heart of East Africa, Buganda's history is a testament to the ebbs and flows of power, culture, and identity. In this video, we will delve into the captivating story of the Buganda Kingdom, exploring its origins, growth, challenges, and the factors that contributed to its eventual decline. The Buganda Kingdom's history is rooted in the early 14th century, although the exact date of its establishment remains a subject of debate among historians. It is believed to have emerged from the intermingling of various Bantu-speaking ethnic groups in the region, primarily the Baganda people. The fertile lands around Lake Victoria in present-day Uganda provided the ideal environment for these communities to settle and develop. As the various clans and communities coalesced, they formed the nucleus of what would eventually become the Buganda Kingdom. These early stages of development were marked by a sense of unity and shared identity among the Baganda people, which laid the foundation for the kingdom's cultural and political cohesion. Central to the rise of Buganda was its distinctive cultural identity. The Baganda people were renowned for their linguistic and cultural contributions to the region. The Luganda language, spoken by the Baganda, became the lingua franca of the kingdom and played a pivotal role in unifying the diverse ethnic groups that made up Buganda's population. The cultural traditions and social structure of Buganda were also instrumental in shaping the kingdom. The Baganda had a well-structured society with defined roles for different members, including chiefs, craftsmen, and farmers. This hierarchical organization provided stability and contributed to the kingdom's early success. Moreover, the Baganda people developed a unique system of governance, combining aspects of monarchy and aristocracy. This system would evolve over time and play a critical role in the kingdom's administration and political structure. The birth of the Buganda Kingdom was a gradual process that emerged from the convergence of Bantu-speaking communities, primarily the Baganda people. This early period was marked by cultural unity, the development of the Luganda language, and the establishment of a hierarchical social and political structure, all of which laid the groundwork for Buganda's subsequent rise to power. One of the defining features of Buganda's rise to power was its territorial expansion. The Baganda kings, known as Kabakas, embarked on a series of military campaigns and diplomatic strategies to acquire new lands and resources. This expansionist policy allowed Buganda to increase its wealth, territory, and influence in the region. Buganda's control extended over a significant portion of what is now Uganda, and its territorial gains were often the result of both military conquest and alliances with neighboring states. The acquisition of fertile lands, important trade routes, and access to vital resources such as salt and iron contributed to the kingdom's economic prosperity. Buganda's political structure played a crucial role in its ascent to power. At the heart of this structure was the king, or Kabaka, who held central authority. Surrounding the Kabaka was a hierarchical system of officials, advisors, and chiefs who helped govern the kingdom. This well-organized political system allowed for efficient administration and resource management. Chiefs oversaw various regions of Buganda, ensuring that laws and orders were enforced, taxes collected, and justice dispensed. Advisors, often drawn from the royal family, provided counsel to the Kabaka, assisting in decision-making and policy formulation. The Kabaka's court was a hub of activity, with diplomats, envoys, and traders from neighboring states and foreign powers frequently visiting. This diplomatic engagement further solidified Buganda's position as a regional power. The combination of territorial expansion and a sophisticated political structure underpinned Buganda's dominance in East Africa during its heyday. The rise of the Buganda Kingdom was characterized by its strategic territorial expansion and a well-structured political system. The acquisition of new territories and resources, coupled with a hierarchical governance structure, allowed Buganda to become a regional powerhouse in East Africa. These factors set the stage for the kingdom's golden age of prosperity and cultural development, which will be explored in the next section. During its golden age, the Buganda Kingdom experienced unprecedented socio-economic prosperity. This period, which spanned several centuries, was characterized by agricultural abundance, thriving trade networks, and a flourishing economy. Agriculture was the backbone of Buganda's economy. The kingdom's fertile lands, fed by the waters of Lake Victoria and the River Nile, facilitated the cultivation of a variety of crops, including bananas, millet, and coffee. The Baganda people were skilled farmers who utilized advanced agricultural techniques, such as terracing and crop rotation. This agricultural surplus not only sustained the population, but also fueled trade and commerce. Buganda's strategic location in East Africa made it a key player in regional trade. The kingdom controlled critical trade routes and was a hub for the exchange of goods. Traders from distant regions visited Buganda to barter for its agricultural produce, ivory, and other valuable resources. The kingdom's prosperous trade relations extended to neighboring kingdoms and foreign powers, contributing to its wealth and influence. The Buganda Kingdom's golden age was not limited to economic prosperity. It was also a time of cultural effervescence and intellectual growth. Buganda was renowned for its artistic achievements. Skilled craftsmen produced intricate woodwork, pottery, and textiles. The kingdom's architectural marvels included royal palaces, tombs, and religious buildings, many of which showcased exquisite craftsmanship and intricate designs. Notable among these is the Kasubi Tombs, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Music and dance were integral to Buganda's cultural identity. The kingdom's vibrant musical traditions featured drums, xylophones, and traditional instruments. Dance performances, often accompanied by storytelling, conveyed the rich history and legends of the Baganda people. Buganda developed a unique system of writing known as the Luganda script. This script, created in the 18th century, enabled the Baganda to record their history, stories, and cultural knowledge. It was a remarkable achievement that contributed to the preservation of Buganda's heritage. Throughout its existence, Buganda faced various external threats that tested its strength and resilience. These threats often came from neighboring kingdoms and foreign powers, leading to conflicts and military confrontations. Buganda's territorial expansion sometimes brought it into conflict with neighboring kingdoms such as Bunyoro and Busoga. Competing claims over land and resources often led to armed conflicts, straining Buganda's resources and stability. The Buganda Kingdom also had to contend with European and Arab powers that were expanding their influence in Africa. European colonial powers, particularly the British, sought to establish control over Buganda and other African states. These external pressures added a layer of complexity to Buganda's political and diplomatic relations. Internal challenges and power struggles were not uncommon within Buganda, despite its strong political structure. Disputes over succession and rivalries among the nobility occasionally weakened the kingdom's cohesion and leadership. Succession disputes often arose upon the death of a Kabaka, leading to power struggles among potential heirs. These conflicts could destabilize the kingdom and sometimes lead to external intervention by foreign powers. The Buganda Kingdom was organized into a complex system of noble clans, each with its own interests and aspirations. Rivalries among these noble clans could escalate into political intrigue and conflicts that affected the stability of the kingdom. The late 19th century witnessed a significant turning point in Buganda's history, with the arrival of European powers, particularly the British. The Buganda Kingdom, like many African states, had to navigate the complex challenges posed by European colonialism. European powers were driven by various interests in Africa, including the desire for territorial expansion, access to resources, and the spread of Christianity. These interests often clashed with the sovereignty and autonomy of African kingdoms like Buganda. Alliances and diplomacy. Initially, some Buganda leaders saw opportunities to form alliances with European powers. These alliances were sometimes tactical, with Buganda kings seeking to strengthen their position by aligning with European interests. However, these relationships would ultimately have far-reaching consequences. The colonial period brought significant changes to Buganda's political and economic landscape. British colonial rule, in particular, had a profound impact on the kingdom. The British adopted a policy of indirect rule in many African territories, including Buganda. This policy involved appointing local rulers, in this case, the Kabakas, as puppet rulers while the British controlled the administration. While this allowed for some level of continuity, it disrupted the traditional political structure and weakened Buganda's autonomy. The introduction of cash crops and taxation systems by the British colonial administration altered the economic dynamics of Buganda. While cash crops such as coffee became lucrative exports, they also disrupted traditional subsistence agriculture and introduced economic dependencies. The spread of Christianity and Western education during the colonial era led to cultural shifts in Buganda. Traditional beliefs and practices began to erode, and a new generation of Buganda became exposed to European values and ideas. As Buganda experienced the effects of colonialism, a sense of nationalism began to take root. Some Buganda leaders and intellectuals started advocating for greater autonomy and self-determination. The mid-20th century witnessed a surge in political activism and demands for self-determination across Africa, including Buganda. This period of political unrest would prove to be the breaking point for the Buganda Kingdom. Buganda's demand for greater autonomy and self-governance grew louder as the winds of independence swept across Africa. The Buganda people, like many other African communities, yearned for control over their own destiny and the ability to shape their political future. Prime Minister Milton Obote, who was a key figure in Uganda's struggle for independence, dissolved the Buganda Kingdom in 1966. This move was met with vehement opposition from Buganda's leaders and the broader population, leading to political chaos and violence. The dissolution of Buganda's traditional leadership and the subsequent 1966 crisis marked a period of upheaval and instability. Violence erupted in the streets of Kampala, the capital of Uganda. The subsequent 1966 crisis marked a period of upheaval and instability. Violence erupted in the streets of Kampala, the capital of Uganda, as Buganda's supporters clashed with government forces. The crisis eventually led to the exile of Buganda's King Mutesa II and the suppression of the kingdom's autonomy. Despite the dissolution of the Buganda Kingdom and the suppression of its traditional leadership, the legacy of Buganda continues to endure. The Buganda people have continued to celebrate and preserve their rich cultural heritage. Traditional ceremonies, customs, and rituals remain an integral part of Buganda's identity. The Luganda language, art, and music are vibrant expressions of Buganda's enduring culture. In the aftermath of the 1966 crisis, Buganda's cultural and political significance persisted. While the Buganda Kingdom was not fully restored to its former political power, it was officially reinstated in 1993, albeit with limited political authority. The Kabaka, Buganda's traditional leader, remains a symbol of cultural unity and pride for the Baganda people.